Hi, I thought I would show you my computer setup and how the salami is compiled and tested and everything like that. So this laptop you see here, that's my main PC, and that's the fastest PC I have. And it's running Linux. So you see this left monitor, that's Linux Mint with LXDE. I hope I pronounced that correctly, and that's mostly because it runs a little bit faster than Windows. So here's the source code, one of the files, and I can change whatever, and then I just have on my terminal, and I have make files for both Linux and Windows, and for both SDL versions, because there is SDL1 and SDL2, and I will explain what's the difference between them. At least I'll try. And the very nice thing is that I can compile both Windows and Linux version from Linux, so I don't have to go to the Windows if I want to compile the Windows executable. Unfortunately, if I want to make an if I want to make exe for Windows 95 or Windows 98, like for this laptop, I need to use an old compiler. So I also installed Windows XP on a virtual machine, and I've got Microsoft Visual C++ 2005. That's the last one they made that still supports Windows 98. And with this program I can compile an exe that will work on this laptop. And the great thing is that everything is on the network, so those files I can change it, and the changes will appear immediately in this program and vice versa. And of course, if I compile this, the exe is immediately available on this laptop also. I don't have to copy files around. You see this little thing sticking out here, that's the PCMCIA Wi-Fi card. So I have Wi-Fi on this laptop, and it's online. It also has a normal local network. So let's try open this project, and it's using the same files here. So for example, I can show you this again. Oh wait, it's still running. So you see this main menu is a little bit different because I was just playing around with it. I'm doing this all the time when I'm bored. I'm just fiddling around with the main menu. And on this Windows XP machine, and on this laptop as well, I still have the old version of the salami, like from yesterday or from 2 days ago. So it will look a little bit different. Yeah, that's a little bit different version. And so now I just compile this, and it should use the files I was editing, from the Linux. So come on. Come on. So close. Okay, it built. I don't know why it took so long. Usually it's way faster, but oh wait, not this window. Anyway, it should work now. Yeah, it works. So another thing, now I will show you that this actually works on this laptop as well. So let's go to the network thingy and open the folder and stuff. I've got a shortcut on desktop, but it doesn't work for some reason. If I launch it from the shortcut, it cannot open certain files, so I have to do it directly, but that's not a big problem, and maybe I will be able to fix that. Anyway, so here's the executable that we compiled with Visual Studio, and I have to warn you that the main menu will be slow as fuck, because this logo effect is very inefficient. The game itself will be faster than main menu, but it will work. Yeah, as we can see, I've got like 15 FPS in the main menu, but if I go into the game, it will be almost 30. Yeah, 30, 27, 26. It's around 30. It depends, like what kind of tiles are on the screen and other things like that. And also, while we're at it, I want to explain why this game is actually so slow. I mean, this is 166 megahertz CPU, and this is Pentium 1. So for example, if you compare this to, let's say Doom, Doom ran on 386 at around, I don't know exactly, but I guess like 40 megahertz or something. So this laptop is in theory like 3 or 4 times faster than a PC would be that can run Doom. So why is this game so slow? Well, first of all, I'm not as good of a programmer as Karma could be. That's obvious, I think. But also, this game uses SDL, and SDL, I think SDL is not really made for such a PC. For example, the SDL1, which is already the old version, and the original developers of it are discouraging people from using it. They recommend using SDL2 instead. Holy shit. And by the way, I'm using both. But so I had to change. I didn't have to change anything, but I had to recompile SDL on my own with certain settings, so it will run actually on this laptop, because SDL1 uses some instructions that are not supported by this CPU. This is Pentium 1, and I think SDL required Pentium 2 at least. So when I changed it worked, but it's very slow. And even when you're in full screen, it still requires it's still using the Windows drivers, right? So the performance is exactly the same whether you're in full screen or window mode. And 30 FPS for a window mode, I'm fine with that. I honestly thought it would be much slower, but the full screen is exactly the same. So I will have to program the full screen thing myself. And just so you have a comparison, I've got a game Blood in here. If you don't know this game, it's basically in FPS. It's on the same engine as Duke Nukem 3D or Shadow Warrior. And I'll show you the performance of this game on this computer. And as you can see, this is a DOS game, but it runs straight away from Windows. I didn't have to reboot the PC or anything, and it's using the full screen modes. It's addressing the graphics chip directly. And you can see those borders here. That's because the screen in this laptop is a very primitive LCD screen, and it cannot scale. So if you're running in a small resolution, it will just draw a border around it. And as you can see, the performance is not very good. And we're in what kind of graphics mode we are? I think this. Yeah, so this is the resolution my game is running at. So you can see this is slower than Salami, but of course this is fucking 3D and you have sounds. But if we go to the lowest resolution possible, it's actually playable. and it goes back to Windows. So that's exactly what I will have to do. And I made some first steps into that. I didn't make a fully working, let's say, driver. I wouldn't call it a driver, but I didn't make this code that would go into this graphics mode yet. But I made some quick tests. What I did was I modified the SDL1 a little bit. So I removed that the final function that actually puts the stuff on the screen, which is a Windows function. It's not even a function made by SDL. SDL uses that function, and that's Windows function to put whatever on the screen. That's the Windows way of doing that. And when I removed that function, so my game was still drawing everything. There was still, the game logic was still computing stuff, and every pixel was drawn. You just couldn't see that on the screen. The window would be white, but all the pixel manipulation was still going on. It was around 70 FPS, so I'm very hopeful that I could get Salami to run on 60 FPS on this particular machine. And the thing is that if you're running, let's say, Windows XP, that means your PC is 300 megahertz or faster, and that's enough to run Salami the normal way, the normal Windows way, with 60 FPS. So you don't have to do any fuckery around that. But if you want to run it on a slower PC with Windows 95 or Windows 98, you can take the advantage of those systems that allows you to go into those graphics mode directly. You don't have to use any drivers for that, which is very fast, but it's also a little bit, harder to do. So that's all. I thought maybe someone will find this interesting, and bye bye.